Hey everybody, Sexy Matt the Pharaoh Wizard here. Now it's been a while since I've done a character study, so I thought today we'd talk about my favorite Robin. Nope, not that one. Not that one either. Try again. Okay, that's literally just a Robin. There you go. Tim Drake, my favorite Robin of all time. So many of you may or may not know about Tim Drake, but surprisingly enough, he's actually one of the most popular Robins of the Robin Pantheon. He held the title of Robin from 1989 till 2009. So for me, that was the Robin I grew up with. That was the Robin that I knew. One of my earliest comics that I still own is from his second miniseries, and I got it brand new in 1992, and it's beat to crap now because, kids and comics. But I've been a big fan of Tim Drake for the longest time, and I thought it was about time we get into his history. Now, Tim Drake was first introduced in Batman number 436 in August 1989, but didn't appear as Robin until December in Batman 442. He would also be the first Robin to have his own solo series, which concluded of 3 miniseries, a full series that ran 183 issues and 7 annuals. He was originally the only Robin to have that, but now Damian Wayne has his own solo series, but he was the first to do it. Now, an interesting thing about Tim Drake is the original Robin, of course, was Dick Grayson, and he was able to grow up and become a hero of his own called Nightwing. And then the comic creators created Jason Todd, who was a very unpopular Robin and was actually voted to die by fans. So when they decided to bring in another Robin, they wanted to do something completely different because they found Jason Todd was too similar to Dick Grayson. So Tim Drake would come on and become, a new Robin, but in a different way. So let's talk about his origins and his story. So Tim is the son of Jack and Janet Drake, and they're in basically the same tax bracket as the Waynes. And when he was younger, he actually witnessed the death of the Flying Graysons, which made Dick Grayson an orphan and was then, adopted by Bruce Wayne. And when he was at the circus, he saw Dick make a very specific move. And he would later notice Robin doing this same move. And he eventually deduced that Robin is Dick Grayson. And he kind of followed the breadcrumbs from there and found that Dick Grayson was, taken in by Bruce Wayne. So it stems the fact that Bruce Wayne is Batman. Now, so Tim was the first to find out Bruce Wayne was Batman. And he was finding after the death of Jason Todd that Batman was becoming more angry and more, vicious. And he decided that Batman needed a Robin, much like Gotham needs a Batman. And he went up to Batman and said, I need to, I need to be a Robin. We're going to do this kind of thing. But he was not trained in martial arts very well, and Bruce did not want to take on another ward that might die in his war on crime. So Bruce was very apprehensive about taking on another Robin because of what happened to Jason Todd. So he actually sent Tim out for a lot of training and kind of took him on as a probationary Robin for a little bit, not really in the field, but helping out and just doing a lot of training. Around this time, Tim's mom and dad were abducted by a voodoo priest named the Obia Man? Never said it out loud. Anyways, he forced Tim's parents to drink an elixir that would kill his mom and caused his dad to go into a coma. During this time, Bruce went ahead and started looking out for Tim and also sent him to do a lot more training in other countries with other senseis. Tim's first test as Robin was during the Nightfall saga, which, if you don't know, is the very popular storyline where Bane breaks Batman's back and, incapacitates him. So while Bruce Wayne needs to heal his back, he appoints Azrael as Batman, and didn't know at the time that Azrael's a cuckoo crazy pants. And he became, just extra crazy, started killing people, going nuts, locked himself in the Batcave away from everybody else. And Tim became very integral in taking down Azrael so Bruce Wayne can return to his seat of power as Batman. And once Batman came back after taking down Azrael, they became the official dynamic duo, Batman and Robin. And roughly around this time is when Robin's first full solo series started. Now, another event that they took on is they were investigating the Clue Master. And he met the Spoiler, which he then deduced was Clue Master's daughter, Stephanie Brown. And this is important because Stephanie Brown would be a very strong figure in his life. They had a kind of will they or won't they relationship, and on and off kind of thing, and would be a very important figure in his life. Along with that, eventually he would join the Teen Titans as well as Young Justice. And in Young Justice, he created a very strong friendship with Superboy. One of those epic, bromances where they're buddies to the end. So Robin and Superboy doing their thing. So a few years down the line, Tim Drake's dad starts finding, Tim comes home with bruises, and he's been hanging out with Bruce Wayne, but comes back with bruises, and he's questioning him about that, and he doesn't believe him, and things like that. So he breaks into Tim's room and finds all his Robin paraphernalia and realizes that his son is Robin. Now, knowing that he's been spending a lot of time with Bruce, Tim's dad brings this information to Bruce and finds out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And then does one of the ballsiest things and actually blackmails Batman and says if Tim doesn't step down as Robin, that he would tell all the papers that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And that is some balls to blackmail Batman. So Tim Drake had to step down as Robin, and at this time, Stephanie Brown, spoiler from earlier, became Robin for quite a while and was the first female in-canon Robin. Now, a gang war broke out in Gotham. Shocker, I know, a gang war in Gotham. Forced Tim Drake to come out of his retirement and become Robin once again. And at the end of this gang war, it was presumed that Stephanie Brown had died. And that began a whole process of shit tumbling down onto Tim Drake's head. Because not too far after that, his dad, Jake, killed Captain Boomerang at the same time Captain Boomerang killed Jake. So they kind of killed each other, which is important because not only now is his dad dead and his mom, but he can't have justice or revenge on Captain Boomerang because now he's dead too. And this becomes, a very dark time in his life. And then, due to a virus, Superboy then dies. So his, on and off girlfriend, his dad, and his best friend all die. In the wake of all of this, Tim moves to Bloodhaven and creates a new costume based off of Superboy's costume. And kind of gets into a little bit of a darker mode. Now, seeing that Tim is going down this dark path, Bruce decides to do one thing that he would make Tim feel, whole and make him feel like he's part of the family again. And Bruce Wayne actually adopts Tim Drake, and he becomes Tim Wayne for quite a while, which is very important because he is the first Robin to have the name of Wayne. But he wouldn't be the only one. Enter Damian Wayne. So if you don't know, Damian Wayne is Bruce Wayne's illegitimate child that he had with Talia al Ghul, who is Ra's al Ghul's daughter. You got all that? So Damian shows up at Bruce Wayne's house, telling them about an attack from the League of Assassins, which is Ra's al Ghul's personal assassins guild, basically. So Ra's al Ghul knows Damian basically screwed up his plan, and he decides he's going to take something from Bruce, and that would be Tim. So he offers Tim to join the League of Assassins, and if he does that, he'll bring back, using the Lazarus Pit, he can bring back his parents, he can bring back his friends, and it becomes this matter of choice for him. Now, this is also very important because Ra's al Ghul doesn't respect many people, but he does respect Bruce Wayne, and he does respect Tim Drake. And he even calls Tim Drake the detective at points, which is a title that he only reserved for Bruce Wayne. So it's showing huge respect from Ra's al Ghul for Tim Drake. And it becomes this whole choice for him that if he joins the League of Assassins, he gives up fighting crime, but he can bring all his loved ones back and they can be alive again. But if he doesn't, he feels like he's being selfish. And it's this whole back and forth. Of course, he doesn't end up joining the League of Assassins, but it ends up being a big moment in his life. Now, in the storyline Infinite Crisis, it seems that Bruce Wayne has died. And it creates this whole big thing that happens called the Battle for the Cowl, where due to the lack of Batman, a gang war once again erupts in Gotham, and all the previous Robins, Dick, Tim, Jason, and Damian are all now fighting to be the new Batman, fighting with each other. Creates this whole big giant mess. What ends up happening is Dick Grayson becomes the new Batman, and Damian Wayne becomes Robin. And Tim Drake gave up the Robin mantle. I don't know if it's explicitly said, but I felt it's because if he joins Dick as Robin, that he would be giving up on Bruce Wayne, and he didn't believe that Bruce Wayne was dead. So he took up the new mantle of Red Robin and began a whole series roaming the earth, finding clues to Bruce Wayne's whereabouts, because he knows Bruce Wayne is alive. He eventually does find a cave painting that proves that Bruce Wayne is alive but lost in time. And a lot of other things happened, and this is during his Red Robin series. And a lot of things with Ra's al Ghul once again happens, where he's asked to join the League of Assassins again, and seeing a lot of that. And when Bruce returns, he gives Tim the blessing to be his own hero, kind of like how Dick got to grow up from being Robin to being Nightwing. Tim got to be Robin to Red Robin. Now, when Bruce Wayne returned, Dick Grayson stayed as Batman, Damian Wayne stayed as Robin, but they would be local to Gotham, and Bruce Wayne would be the Batman around the world and started Batman Incorporated, and that's a whole other thing I'm not going to get into. At this point, Tim created his own base and was going to do a proactive strike against crime and, really be his own hero. But then, of course, enter the New 52. So if you don't know what the New 52 is, basically DC Comics reboots their continuity after it gets convoluted enough that they don't think people can follow it. They reboot it and start it from scratch once again. This time they did kind of a weird reboot where they kept some of the popular storylines but just condensed everyone's stories. And the most important one they did that to, of course, was Batman. And they condensed his story to, basically like 10 years. So having, Dick, Jason Todd, and Tim Drake all as Robins in that small amount of time didn't seem plausible. So they had to shift around Tim Drake's origin a little bit. So here's Tim Drake's origin in the New 52. This time, Tim Drake's basically a perfect person. He's a great athlete. He's a certified genius. He's basically all and everything. He has this side project going on where he's trying to figure out who Batman is. So they kind of keep that part going. Batman finds out that somebody is trying to find out who he is, and meets up with Tim Drake, saying like, "Hey, get off my nuts. I'm trying to do my thing. I don't want another Robin," because this takes place pretty close after Jason Todd's apparent death, which still happens in the New 52. Again, that gets complicated. But anyway, so he's like, "I don't want another partner. You need to, go. You need to go away." So Tim decides he's going to just act on his own, and what he does is he ends up stealing a bunch of money from the Penguin and giving it to a charity. And what this does is angers the Penguin, of course, and the Penguin sends a hit squad out on Tim's house. Batman comes in to save Tim and his parents, and basically decides that Tim's going to kind of be doing this no matter what he does, so he might as well do it in a controlled environment, and offers Tim a partnership to be, to get some training from him and to basically be partners. Now, he was never a Robin. He went straight to being Red Robin in this and didn't spend as much time with Batman as he originally did, maybe a year or two. They didn't specifically say, but it's a much more condensed time that he spends with Batman. Now, after his partnership with Batman, he begins investigating disappearances of meta teens, and this would eventually build into the Teen Titans. And he would become their leader and, go on all sorts of adventures with them. He would also be part of a lot of the big Bat family storylines, like the Court of Owls and Death in the Family, a lot of the big New 52 Batman storylines. Now we enter Rebirth. So Rebirth is this weird half reboot, half not reboot thing that DC did. Basically, it expanded their universe rather than condensing it like it usually does, and changed around a little bit of some people's origins. Tim's pretty much stays the same, but the important thing that happened is in Detective Comics Rebirth, Tim joins a team that is Batman, Batwoman, Clayface, Spoiler, and the Orphan, and they're taking on a team called the Colonists, who are Batman-inspired military group led by Batwoman's father. And they decide they're going to take out the League of Assassins using drones. Unfortunately, the drones are taking out a lot of innocent people while they're trying to take out the League of Assassins. So Tim hacks the drones and gives them a single target, and that's himself. And he goes to fight all these drones and apparently dies. Of course, at the very end of the comic, we see that Tim is in a holding cell in some unknown place being held by someone called Mr. Oz or Dr. Oz, one of the two. I think it's Mr. Oz. But into the open world, he has apparently died. And that's where Tim is right now. He is alive, but everyone thinks he's dead. And hopefully something good comes out of it, and we'll see what happens with Tim Drake as we go. Now, Tim has also appeared in some things outside of comics. Because most people know Robin as Dick Grayson due to, the 60s Batman TV show and the Schumacher movies. But Tim Drake is the Robin in the Arkham Asylum games, if you're familiar with those. He was in Young Justice, and he was a major part of Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, the straight-to-DVD movie, which is very good for Batman Beyond. He was a major proponent in that. So Tim Drake is well known outside of the comics as well, but maybe not known to everybody. So I hope this gives you a small enlightenment of the life of Tim Drake, and maybe gives you some interest to find out more about him. My suggested reading would definitely be the Red Robin solo series. That's my favorite stuff. But really, any of his books, you can collect all his original run in various trade paperbacks, in various collections. It's all really good, and he was a very solid, awesome Robin. So I hope you guys like this kind of character development. It's been a while since I've done one, and I have ideas for other ones I'm going to do eventually if I get around to them. But if you like this video, of course, give it that thumbs up. And until next time, I'm Sexy Matt the Pharaoh Wizard. Hold on to your hold slots.